U.S. President Donald Trump is now deploying 700 Marines and a further 2,000 California National Guard without the approval of the state governor, a presidential power move not seen since the civil rights era of the 1960s. Canada's Supreme Court Chief Justice has weighed in on the issue. Richard Wagner suggests there's a good chance that what the U.S. president is doing amounts to a dictatorship. Here's what he had to say at a news conference in Ottawa.
There is no doubt that the rule of law and the judicial independence is under attack in many countries in the world. You know, when you see governments attacking the media, attacking the judges, attacking the lawyers, and universities, of course, that means that there's a good chance that you are in front of a dictatorship, autocratic government. But there are many places in the world living through those events right now. And I think we have to be careful. So the message for the people is be careful, but be optimistic as well. Because in Canada, we have a strong legal system. We have our challenges, underfunding occasionally, delays, cost, but we have a strong judicial system. And we have good lawyers, good jurists across the country, well-trained. We have good law faculty, good law professors, great universities. We have good judges, well-trained judges, independent judges, impartial judges, and judges governed by ethical principles, which is not the case in many countries around us. And so that's why they should be optimistic about the future. But we have to defend those institutions. We have to defend the traditional media. We have to defend our courts. And we should not take anything for granted. But I think we should be optimistic.
The Chief Justice went on to say he gets asked the same question when he travels the country, whether what's happening in the U.S. court system will spill over into Canada. Chief Wagner says Canada is not a superpower, but it is a democratic superpower, and the rule of law is non-negotiable. Jeremy Fogel is a former U.S. district judge and the executive director of the Berkeley Judicial Institute. He joins me now live in Washington. And sir, you watched that clip. What did you make of Canada's Chief Justice using terms such as dictatorship and autocratic government, referring to the U.S. in this moment?
Well, it was a very strong statement. He actually was very careful not to single out the U.S. He was talking about international trends. And I think that's actually quite appropriate because the things he called out, attacking judges, attacking the media, undermining the independence of the judiciary, that's part of a pattern. It's part of a playbook, and we've seen it in many other countries. And he was actually very careful not to name any of them. I mean, I don't mind identifying them just for context. It happened in Turkey, it happened in Hungary, it happened in Poland. I mean, these are places where you had functioning democracies, and authoritarian leadership came in those countries. And one of the things they did was the things that the Chief Justice was describing. So there's a clear implication there. I don't mean to say that he wasn't including some of the trends in the United States by implication, because he certainly was.
Yeah, I mean, I get that's a very good point to point out that it wasn't a singling out. But when he sort of goes down the list, it really seems to come very close to including the United States in all of that. I mean, what do you think that is a fair assessment? If that is if in fact the case?
I think we're going to find out. I mean, I liked the entire statement, to be truthful. But I think one of the things I like best about it is he said, be prudent, but be optimistic. In other words, be aware of what's happening around you. Don't minimize it. And at the same time, look at the things that are positive. Look at the reasons for optimism. And he cited some in the Canadian system, which I think quite rightly are things Canadians should be optimistic about. Our system has been under attack in a way that it hasn't been, certainly in my lifetime. And I was a judge for 37 years. I never saw anything like that. The personal attacks on judges, the delegitimizing of decisions that judges make, attacking law firms, things like that. Those are things that have not happened in the U.S. In a very long time, if at all. And I think it's got a lot of people quite concerned about it. At the same time, the legal system, the judicial system, so far has been pretty resilient. Judges have been making decisions that are grounded in the law, grounded in the evidence. Some of them at great risk to themselves, where they've been personally attacked and vilified. Some of the law firms that were attacked have resisted and have fought back. So, there are things going on that are very concerning, and they're very concerning to many of us here. But at the same time, there is some resilience that is being shown. And, I'm an optimist by nature, and I draw some optimism from those things.
Let me ask you about specifically what is happening in Los Angeles right now and the feud, if you will, between the governor and the president. Also, I think we could include the mayor of Los Angeles. Do you think this is an overreach? Is this an overreach of the president's powers to be sending in the National Guard without the consultation of the governor, and now to be mobilizing 700 U.S. Marines?
Yeah, it's very unusual, and it's interesting. I saw some polling data just before we went on that it's actually quite unpopular. That by an almost 2-to-1 majority, Americans don't approve of deploying regular troops, the Marines, in a situation like this. And the National Guard, they don't like that either, although it's a little bit closer in the data. The last time I remember that troops were deployed on behalf of something the federal government was trying to do was in the civil rights era, the integration of the public schools in Little Rock, Arkansas, that the president deployed troops. But you look at the facts of that situation and the facts here. You have to question whether the danger, the risk was as high, the risk to life, the risk to the welfare of people, the risk to compliance with the law. That's a judgment call. I mean, I think that there is certainly there are a lot of people who feel that our immigration enforcement is too lax, and there's other people who feel differently. But I think bringing troops in at this point without going through the normal steps of consultation with local leadership and so forth, it is unusual. It sends a signal, and it adds to this atmosphere of deep concern that you were asking me about before. They're just it's one more thing that makes people say, what's going on here? Is the president really trying to go beyond the powers he has in the constitutional order? I think we'll see what happens in Los Angeles, but I certainly think when you put what he's done with the troops in the context of the other things we were talking about, it just heightens the fears among people who are concerned about the rule of law.
Sir, it was very good of you to take the time. Thank you. That is former U.S. District Judge Jeremy Fogel in Washington.